This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
I think Michael said a fellow named Frankie Kane put them together.
Great Mephisto.
Oh, there you go. Okay, because I was going to say I've never even heard that name, but that was his real name.
Yeah.
And we've established on the show that I can't say his gimmick name.
You can't say the Great Mephisto?
No, I always want to say.
Come on, let's do it.
I always want to say Memphicito, which is not it. And I did that the first time, and you tried to slap me. This was years ago. So let's talk about
Memphicito.
Yeah, for me, he'll always be the Great Memphicito. You're welcome.
Oh shit! Well, we'll stick with Frankie Kane.
Yeah, we'll go with Frankie Kane for now. I want to talk about one of the things that Michael is really credited for, and a lot of people sort of take claim for this, but he says that it was his idea to first sort of bridge the gap between rock and roll and pro wrestling. And at the time, maybe wrestling wasn't ready for it. And eventually, he talks Terry Gordy into it, and then they talk Jerry Jarrett into it, and he goes for it, and they start doing the entrance to the Freebird, the Leonard Skinner song, Freebird, on Memphis TV, and it sort of grew from there. Now, everybody has a different version of how music got introduced into wrestling. Have you heard Michael Hayes' version? What do you think of that?
I've heard Michael Hayes' version, but again, you go back to the 50s. Gorgeous George had entrance music, and to my knowledge was the first wrestler to ever have entrance music. In the early 70s, Bad Leroy Brown came out to Bad Leroy Brown.
Right.
So he had entrance music. Look, every era there's going to have your guy that claims to do it. Michael was the first tag team with 3 guys in it that came out to Freebird. So they were the first ones to be the Freebirds that came out to Freebird.
One of the stories that Michael always points to as a reason to sort of explain his affection for Terry Gordy is there was a territory where they were going to fire Michael Hayes, and Terry Gordy says,
that just
surprise,
covers a lot of fucking territory of territories.
Well, Terry Gordy said, if you don't want Michael, you don't want me, and Terry Gordy quit. And Terry Gordy was regarded as being, the workhorse of that duo, so they left the building together, and they were fast friends ever since.
Yeah, they were, and like I said, it was a family situation, and I dare say the closest second to that would probably be Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express back in the day. They were a threesome, and they were a team, and where one went, all 3 went.
Well, when they went to World Class, they set the world on fire. They did huge business out there with Fritz and the gang, and a lot of their success, I think, as a team, comes from their rivalry with the Von Erichs. Of course, they were a bunch of Texas boys, and the Freebirds came in with all their Georgia stuff, and that really is what Michael Hayes would say is the reason they used the Confederate flag, because that portion of, or that still appears on the Georgia state flag now, I believe. And they wanted to make it like a state rivalry. Let my family save your family some cash. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket, but we will save you money. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of how much. SaveWithConrad.com. And it was Georgia versus Texas, and those guys did monster business, including a pretty famous night in a cage match with Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich, where Michael Hayes was the referee. Talk a little bit about, I know you weren't there, but you were at least keeping up with the business, and that was in your home state. What did that rivalry mean? What did that night mean? And what do you make of the whole Georgia-Texas thing as an explanation behind the rebel flag?
Well, it even went a little deeper than that, because WTBS in Atlanta was the first superstation, and they were on cable, so they were national before there was national wrestling.
Right.
The Freebirds had exposure on WTBS from Atlanta, Georgia. So regardless of, none of them are from Atlanta. They're all from Pensacola, or Michael's actually from Philadelphia. But everybody saw them on Georgia Championship Wrestling, so they had adopted and adapted this Georgia persona and took that state as their home state, because that's how everybody saw them. There you go. And coming into Texas for us, and also it was at a time, cable was still new. It was that new thing. Not everybody had it. And if you did have it, you were rich and you got that cable. So them coming in, it was things that were perceived on cable were better, bigger. Oh my God, did you see what happened in Atlanta? So when the Freebirds came in, they were already stars.
Right. They were established.
Yes, they were already stars. And to come in, and I believe they first came in as baby faces, as friends of the Von Erichs, to help the Von Erichs avenge. And then on that fateful, I believe it was a Christmas night with Kerry Von Erich there, and Michael's the guest referee, and Michael, Terry Gordy's got the cage door. He's going to make sure that Ric Flair doesn't get out, and at the right time, right place. Kerry Von Erich gets that cage door slammed in his head because Kerry wouldn't let Michael help him beat Ric Flair. Because Ric Flair and Michael had gotten into it, and Michael decked Kerry, decked Flair, told Kerry to pin him, and he'd count it. Kerry didn't want it that way because he was good milk drinking damn Texan. No, nothing. And at the right time, you had Terry Gordy slam that fucking door on Kerry's head, bust his ass wide open, and Ric Flair kept his title, and then Freebirds kicked the living shit out of them Von Erich boys.
One of the biggest moments in wrestling, certainly of the year, but in the history of world class, right?
I think for world class, that was right up there with when
Kerry beat Flair.
Kerry actually beat Flair. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be 1A or 1B. Well, let's talk about that. While they're out there, they filmed a music video in 1983 that really was pretty ahead of its time. And I know that we sort of mocked, maybe they weren't the first to use music. But a music video like this, very well done, too, I might say.
Yeah.
Badstreet USA.
Badstreet, Atlanta, GA. Doot, doot. Badstreet in the whole USA. Doot, doot. Badstreet. Nasty and hot. The further down that block you went, the better it got to do. See, and even the music is doot, 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 doot. That's the way I hear it.
What was the, it was cool. It is cool. What was your perception when you're seeing that in Houston? Is Bosch sort of shitting on that and mocking it, or are you having to tell him as the older gentleman, hey man, this is pretty cool?
It was
Kids
pretty
are digging
cool.
this.
It was big. It was, and
but sometimes older folks don't get it, right?
no, they don't, and they don't like that damn rock and roll music. But I don't care who you are. The song's great.
It's tremendous.
Badstreet is awesome.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it was about them and they did it, and Michael's terrible, but he was great. You know what I mean? Michael's not that classic rock and roll singer.
But
however, he's David Lee Roth.
He sings it with confidence, so it makes it cool.
But he's David Lee Roth is not a great fucking singer, but he's David Lee Roth.
Right.
Michael was Michael Hayes.
Right.
So you believed it. He believed it, and he sang it with that passion that, by God, you felt every bit of it. And that was the beauty of Badstreet USA.
Okay, timeout. This Badstreet video and song, legendary. I think you could argue it's the best song in the history of wrestling done by a wrestler. I know that Chris Jericho is going to take issue with that. And don't get me wrong, Judas is over it with the AEW crowd. But I'm more of a nostalgia fan. I like the stuff I grew up on. I think, it's just not quite the same for me, the passion I had as a kid. And I know you probably feel the same way if you're listening to this. Like, was there anything better than wrestling when you're like 8 or 9 or 10 years old? No way, man. And I thought these dudes were like the coolest dudes around. They had their own music video, for God's sake. And what's really cool is maybe one of my peak wrestling fandom experiences, certainly top 5, as Bruce likes to say. When Hayes came and spent the night at my house years ago, there may or may not have been a few cocktails flowing. And somehow, some way, the old YouTube app shows up on my TV. Badstreet video is in, the volume is up, and I got a little concert in my living room. I think that's so cool that Michael can have so much fun with singing in the music video. He fancies himself a singer, and by God, if you see that video, he more than pulled it off. He looks like a front man. He walks like a front man. Well, I don't know if he dresses like a front man, but he dresses like something. That whole Badstreet thing was so cool to me, and Michael has become such a great friend to me that he gave me, and I can't believe this, one of the only 2 alternate covers for his album. That's right. The album way back in the day. There's the album cover you saw, and then there's the one that didn't get published. I try to throw a photo of that up on social media. But I had it professionally framed. It's here in my studio now, and it's a prized possession because, dude, the Freebirds were badass. Let's get back to it. Michael Hayes on Something to Wrestle.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.